Hello. I like the Richard Paul video and the Moncef response. And then within the Moncef response, somebody said that somebody writes that the video is it seems to them is trying to get at the idea that there are sets of rules for critical thinking to identify whether or not you're a critical thinker, and that maybe the things that Moncef talks about are too open, and that everybody generally thinks these things. But this leaves me wondering. I mean, uh, everywhere I go, you find a different set of guidelines for what critical thinking is. For example, here, one place that I find says critical thinking is about questioning, gathering evidence and resources and things, thinking about it in perspective, and being able to communicate it. All right, well, those are some points, I guess. Another place says that it's about rationality, self-awareness, honesty, open-mindedness, discipline, and judgment. All right, those are interesting parts, and then part of what Paul or Richard Ryan goes over, Richard Paul goes over here is that some of the things involve clarity and precision. All right, those are parts, right? I mean, those are good aspects of critical thinking. But why is that? Why are those more definitive, direct lists than what Moncef lists? He says critical thinking is about perspective, about imagination. It's about, you have to have perspective, but you have to have imagination to adapt to the situation at hand. I mean, some people have perspective within one or maybe a few frames of reference. They can imagine things from the perspective of how their family life might deal with it, or from the perspective of how their warehouse job might deal with it, or something like that. But I find that they don't always have uh, imagination, like imagination in their perspective, like Moncef is getting at. And he says they try to identify biases in their self and others. You know, that they're flexible and skeptical. Consider alternatives. They're reflective in their thinking. They avoid knee-jerk reactions. They know that answers aren't always simple. They don't sidestep issues. They expect complexity, and they don't have to have opinions. And the way I take in Moncef's response is that it's those are just some examples. I mean, I don't think he gave a list there. Although, um, you know, I think that the answer, it seems, I could be wrong, that the answer is a combination of all of these interpretations, which it seems to me can be simplified as to understand fallacy. I mean, what? Somebody please correct me or explain to me why I should see this differently. But it seems to me that critical thinking is like a way of breaking down the long list of fallacies into people's interpretive sets of what fallacies should come first. And a lot of these have good points and are things to consider. But I'm wondering where we're left um, with surety on which set of fallacies comes first.